Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited to be back again this year with some amazing speakers, and I have one on here right now. Please be sure to visit all of the pages and listen to all of the podcasts that I have posted on the website. There's tons and tons of information that you do not want to miss out on if you're a small business or a working professional, or even if you're looking for a new job. Please take advantage of this unique opportunity. It's going to run all summer long. And if you feel like you want to reach out to any of the experts that are on the pages, their contact information is there. So please feel free to reach out. And also for the small businesses, please feel free to network with each other. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is to share industry information and to encourage job seekers who are thinking about getting into that line of work. And so with that, I also want to take the time to thank our corporate sponsors, a family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth. And along with our business partners, we will also like to send a thank you to them as well. So before we get started in the podcast, I just had one comment about the topic for the day. And you guys know that this is my favorite because this is what I do as well, which is career development. Many of you know that I specialize in career readiness and professional development, and it is my passion to not only share this information with everybody, but I want to also help people who need to enhance their professional career or their personal life, which is why I do mentoring as well. And so for me, it's just more than teaching someone how to develop a resume or cover letter. It is really looking to change your mindset about your career situation. And so the guest speaker and I are going to have a conversation today that's going to help change your mindset, just showing you and just giving you factual information about where you need to be, what tools that you need to have, what life learning techniques you need to know so that you can elevate and boost your career, because you know I love that statement, elevate and boost. So please take the time to take all the notes you can during this segment, because I have more than one career development speaker on this podcast and they all have different perspectives, and so I want to make sure that you have a 360 view of everything that's going on. So one of the questions I want you to think about when we have this podcast is, how many times have you found yourself either needing a change in your career or you suddenly unemployed? This is why I love teaching about career preparedness, because you just never know when you may find yourself in an unexpected situation. So with that, I also want to make one other comment, is that when it comes to career readiness and being prepared, you need to understand that as the employment rate across the country is between 4 and 7, you still have that ratio of 1 to 56, which is one application to every 56 applicants to every one job out there. So you really have to keep that in mind as we talk about that. And so I'm going to get right into it and introduce to everybody Alfreda Booney. Alfreda Booney is the founder and executive director of Perfectly Suited Career Consulting Incorporated. Her company's mantra is developing a qualified and retainable workforce tailor-made for success. I love that statement of tailor-made, because that means it's custom for you. Alfreda has over 12 years of career development experience and recruiting staffing. She also has experience in workforce development, and she facilitates a lot of career workshops. She's considered as the go-to guru of employment. Her background also includes knowledge of labor market information, unemployment policies, and workforce development procedures. And while working for the Georgia Department of Labor, she's also more integrated too, as being a facilitator of different career concepts, training workshops, and working with at-risk youth. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alfreda Booney to the podcast. Alfreda, yay!
Hey,
I got to celebrate our fellow career coach.
Yes, I'm sitting over here just shaking my head. Yes, yes, she's right. There it is. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. But you know what? Welcome to the podcast. I am so happy that you're here because, I get excited when I talk about career stuff. I get excited when I'm also teaching. And so, with you looking at your background and all the experience that you have going on, I kind of want to get your perspective on what is a good career roadmap. How do you define what that is? To maybe to anyone who may be thinking about making a career change or a new career, and maybe kind of give them some extra advice in the middle of all that.
I definitely would say that to find the career path, you first have to know yourself. You got to know your passion. You see a lot of people that would want to work. And I'm so quick to say, now, if you're unemployed and you say you want to work, then I could just give you any job and you should be acceptable and happy. But then the next minute they say, oh no, I don't want that job. That's not what I'm looking for. So I'm like, so be specific. Because unless you know exactly who you are and what you want and what you're passionate about, you're not going to be successful and you're not going to be happy. And then the day, I don't want to work 8 to 10 hours or put my that much time away from family and priority into a place or into an area that I really don't want to be. I tell anyone I love what I do now because I know it's a purpose, but I also know it's my passion. I love working with people to give them that out of the box thought process that makes them say, "Oh my God, I didn't think of it like that. I didn't think that I should be looking at my resume this way. I didn't think that I could have a conversation about, during the interview. I'm intimidated." I'm like, "Why? I need you just as much as you need me. So let's have a conversation about this so that we can get to the final destination, which is hire me and let me go to work and let me show you who I am." So the person definitely has to have they have to know who they are. They have to be passionate about where they're trying to go, or even the arena of what they are looking in. And then we can kind of branch out and kind of find their interests and likes and dislikes, and kind of like you said, my name, when I created my business name, it was to make sure it was a perfect fit for both entities, for the the employer side as well as that job seeker. Because if it doesn't mesh, there's no sense of going through anything else. Like, if this doesn't work for you, why are you here? You have a lot of people that are very upset going to work every day. So let's try to find out what it is you really want to do, and then you will not have all the stress that you have.
Right, that is so absolutely true. There's one little point that I want to kind of make when you said that you have to know yourself and you have to be passionate what you do. Now, one of the things I like to tell people is that you could be passionate about a lot of stuff, and yes, you have to know yourself, but you have to know the difference about what you are passionate to do and what you actually can do.
That's true.
And you have to make sure that you pick that talent that you're passionate about, the one that's the strongest that you are really, really good in, and that's what you go for. And that's when you know yourself.
Mm. For me, I know that there's somebody out there that can do a little bit of everything. There's a lot of people that say, "Well, I can just do about anything," but like you said, you can't do everything good. You can't do it well. I mean, there is somebody that is a better cleaner, somebody who's a better teacher, somebody who's a better writer. And so, for me, when I deal with someone who's looking for a job, I ask the question, so if I have the one job and it's 2 to 3 of you that have graduated college, let's say, and you all have the same degree, what's going to make you stand out to me? How are you going to make yourself stand above the crowd? And the first thing they say is, "Oh, it's my personality." I already know that you can practice enough to actually, pass the interview. But when you get in the actual performance of the work, that's going to really tell the tale. And now you're upset and now you're job hopping because nothing just flows for you. So you really do have to know what you're good at and what you really want to do, so that you don't waste a lot of time for yourself or for that employer.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate and flip the script just a little bit because there's a lot of business owners out here that saying, "Yeah, yeah, that's good with the resume." But when you're a business owner or you're someone who is an executive, okay, that has lots of experience, I kind of want to get your, experience of dealing with people in that caliber and their mindset in terms of what they think about a career transition or moving to the next career, because the ones that I've dealt with in the past feel like because they have 20 or 30 years in something that they feel like they can easily get in, but what they're finding out is that that's not the case.
It definitely is not. Right now, a division that I really stumbled into with my personal business through our local chamber of commerce has been helping small businesses with capability statements. Now that's kind of like the old, it wasn't you. It's not used so popularly with most small business because nobody's really talking about it. But when I was exposed to it, I was like, that's nothing but a business resume. And what it entailed was, as a small business, okay, you and Joe and Sue may have the same type products or services, but the issue is what's going to make you stand out. What's going to make you that actual go-to for a consumer to be able to do business. And when they presented that idea to me, and I started really looking into it and started working with some clients, it amazed me that I had one small business entrepreneur here in my area that said, in 8 minutes you gave me such clarity that I couldn't get in 2 years. And she's been in business probably longer than me. But it was the fact of she she was never able to really articulate herself correctly, even though she has business, even though she has clients. It was just she struggled with being able to articulate exactly who she was and what she really did. She could do it, but she didn't know how to articulate it, so I was able to help her with that. You have a lot of people that really ride on their years of experience, but because so much changes in our day-to-day businesses and just technology and everything, you can't rely on that anymore. And then you have a lot of companies that say, well, I don't want to pay you what you think you're worth. So I
Right.
can go and get it from somebody else a little cheaper, even though we know the experience matters. We know
Hmm.
it matters because you said it earlier. You got someone that can graduate college. They got a degree because everybody told them that's what you should do.
Right.
Yet they have to compete with hundreds and thousands of others in the same degree program. And the one thing that the employee is going to come back at them and say, well, you don't have any hands-on experience. And it's
Exactly.
almost like a slap in the face. Like, why did I go get into debt? Why did I go? And I always tell a lot of young people, older as well, you know what?
Mm.
College is not for everybody. I respect it. Got a daughter about to graduate. I'm so excited for her. But I understand too that the technical arena is where now I'm putting my knowledge to work with my hands. I'm blending the two. And when you just get book knowledge and don't have the actual hand knowledge, it's hard. So then you have people that say, well, all it says is to have a degree. But a degree doesn't always stand, if I can't actually do the work when I don't know how to really put that knowledge to work. It's sad, but it is the truth that we live in now.
Right. And Alfreda, one point I want to kind of make also to add to what you were saying about the degrees, where we were kind of talking, you guys who's listening, we were kind of having a pre-conversation before the podcast about people going to get college degrees without thoroughly recognizing what they would have to do to get into that career change. So I'm talking about college students, whether they're older students or whether they're coming out of high school and they're getting degrees in industries that they have no experience in, but they're already older, they're trying to transition from a different industry. And so this is where the career roadmap comes in, because if you're trying to change industries and you have no experience, that roadmap or that checklist that you have to develop is what you're going to need to have to get those steps going, so that when you come out with your degree, you have the proper certifications, that you have at least a year in your belt or at least an internship somewhere, and that you're able to easily come in and say, I can do this job, and the hiring manager can say, okay, I can put a dollar value on your skills. If you don't have those three things, you're going to end up starting from scratch, and you're going to be spending a lot of time, and you're going to waste a lot of money taking a degree in which you may not be successful in. So it's really important, you know. And so, Alfreda, let's talk about roadmap since we're talking about that. I know I have my way of doing a roadmap, so I want you to tell everybody what you think the career roadmap should be.
That's a good question, Ann. Oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, like you said, you gotta find something that you can relate to. I mean, for me, and I would say I'm gonna start fresh. We have our transitioners. They've started in whatever career mom and dad told them they was the best one that was gonna make all the money in the world. And then when you get to be about 30 and 40, you feel like, you know what, I am so tired of this. They stayed in the career because it was stable. It was what they knew. They didn't want to. They didn't want to risk change. But now that change has come, now you find yourself pushed out. I love to deal with a young person. We know that they are the foundation. We know that they are going to be this next generation of leaders coming up. But yet there's not a lot of people that are taking the stand to go out here and really give them the in the street knowledge. Like for me, I come. How do I say it? I tell them I come real. I cannot sugarcoat it because nobody is teaching our young people. You want a job, it's not microwavable. We're not. You're not going to come out the bat, making $15 an hour at 16. I'm sorry. Yes, mom and dad have taken care of you up until this point, but when they get to be about 18, 17, really 16, if we really are really wanting them to get out and be independent, we're going to tell them, oh, you need to go get a job. And the first thing they jump on is either retail or fast food because that's all they can get at their age with no experience. So I love. My background has been working with the National Job Corps program. So I used to, in career transitions, it was my job to support them, but to also put them to work and keep them working for at least that full year after graduating the program. And I used to tell them, I really need you to understand and kind of have a thought process of where you want to be. If you took on this degree training, tell me what your future plans are. Is it a business? Is it to work or to be, some type of leader within the corporate arena. And so let's work ourselves backwards. If you got the goal, then you got to work yourself backwards to where you can start. So, if you've had retail and fast food experience, there's a lot of things that you could build off of in the result of, I guess, in essence of saying something like, hey, I really liked being the leader. Okay, so now I can focus on my leadership ability, and now I can be, focused on always trying to stay in that lead or teach or trainable capacity that can lead me into those careers that will enhance. Like for me, when I started in the field of career development, I was unemployed. I honestly had been a worker, and I mean, I've worked from, carpet mills. I worked manual, before I got to this level. And then there was that one day that I said, hey, I want to be in business, and had no clue, had no reference, no family members, none of them. My mother was always a worker, my dad the same. But when my first job was as a placement coordinator, I walked in, I impressed the manager, and she was like, you know what, I'm going to give you a shot. And when I got in there, I was able to help put those same people, somebody just like me, walk it in, put them to work on a job site, and I would ask them the questions: what do you like to do? What don't you like to do? What type of hours are you looking for? What are your priorities? And when I matched them up to the job, I noticed that they were able to be successful because it was in line to something that they did like. You may not like everything, but you got to like something about it. That's going to lead to retention. And I've always been, even in recruitment, as I've been a recruiter for so many years, I believe in retention first. I recruit for retention. I'm not recruiting to fill a spot. So for me, I would always try to find a relatable thing, and then we work towards that. So for the young, for that young person, I'm telling them, okay, let's work ourselves backward and build on that. So for me, when I walked into the agency, I loved it. I loved seeing somebody's eyes light up that they got a job. I loved that they could come back and say, Miss Alfreda, I really appreciate you for giving me an opportunity to take care of my family. And so the next transition was walking into the Georgia Department of Labor. In that regard, I learned what the behind the scenes from the employer standpoint, what they were looking for when they came to, ask us to look for candidates. I started being able to screen and knowing the jobs that I had, and then knowing the people who were walking in the doors. It's like, oh, you got this type of skill. Well, you know what? Did you know we have this job over here? This will be better suited for you. Started asking those questions, and that's where my career started building. From there, I went to career transitions at Job Corps, went to recruitment, and I've been in this field of work. Even though it's been different titles, it's all been the same path. And I think that if a person who is looking to start their career, they have to find those things that are relative to their end goal. I'm not going to say if I'm going to be a business person, you're not initially going to maybe, just jump out there. Everybody can't do that. But there should be some, I always believe you got to be a follower before you can be a leader too. So if I do have the goal of being in business one day, then my object would be to do a job where I can learn the basics, the foundation, and then I transition into the administration, transition into the management, because eventually I'm going to have to hire somebody that's going to work for me, that's going to do all of these pieces. And I need to know how these pieces run before I try to bring them in. Exactly. So in that context, that's how you would build that path. Whatever the path is, you have to work yourself backwards and learn each step so that when you get to the top, you know how it was built and how it will last. I really believe that can work.
And you know what? I really appreciate all of that information. I couldn't even stop you because you were on such a roll with all that. And I'm going to tell you. So,
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit more fine point about the recruitment process, because you hit something on the head for me in terms of the career roadmap. Okay, there are times where people who are not thinking about the importance of what they apply for and what the recruiter may be thinking. And so I really want to get into the meat of that, because when you say you was a recruiter, I just had to ask you this question. How often do you keep getting resumes for jobs that they don't qualify for? Or what advice can you give people to say, this is what you really need to be looking for aside from the skills? So for example, most people that I've dealt with, they'll see their skills in the job posting, but they're not thinking about how it relates to their career path. And then when they apply, you lose that first impression. What do you think about that?
I'm so glad you asked that, because that is such a big thing for me. Okay, I still am a corporate recruiter. I juggle both the business and this side because it is in line. Okay, it allows me to meet different people within a network, but it also allows me to be able to even share what I do on the business side and be able to even go to that next level with my business. So as a recruiter, what really hurts my heart is that when a person sees a job posting, first and foremost, I don't care what vehicle or media it's on, and they just feel like, oh, I've done that before, so I'm just going to apply. First of all, they never relate the resume to that particular job. So as a recruiter, when I'm looking at your resume, 9 times out of 10, if it does not have anything to do with that title or those job descriptions, I will file it in Chapter 13. They say that round receptacle they call Chapter 13. I will put it right over there, because at the end of the day, you have to take as much time as it took for us to post that job to make sure that you fit the job. I have come across adult and young, and that's what hurts my heart, and that's why I love what I do, because I am just adamant that we have to educate our people. And I'm not just saying our people, I'm talking about all people. It's not a color thing. It is truly just a humanity thing, because we have people that are applying for jobs because they need to work. But I'm not going to hire you just because you need to work. I'm not going to hire you just because you need money. I am hiring for a corporation, a company who has a task and a job that needs to be fulfilled. And I have to make sure that I'm putting in that most qualified candidate. So because you apply does not mean that you qualify. when you put in that resume and you did not take the time to research the company that you were applying for, that you did not take the time to even look at the job description and make sure that in some way, shape, or form you were in line with any of this requirement. I have people that say, well, if it says associate preferred, if it says bachelor's degree, preferred, okay, that's fine. That still means that somebody who doesn't have it can apply if they meet all of the other qualifications, But it is meaning that I am going to look at someone with that preference that the manager has told me they want as maybe my first or second choice. You'll see a lot of people who, to me, they use one resume, and I know you know this, Ann. All resumes are not created equal. I became a certified professional resume writer through the state, and you use the data set. You did not do copy and paste.
Right.
And when I tell you Google does not work for everybody, it does not, because you're trying to copy a format, but you don't even know how to read your resume to me.
Right.
So
right.
At the end of the day, I'm looking at this information that, or somebody who didn't even have a clue, and they just put everything that they did, and it sounds like I'm reading a job description. You didn't tell me what you did. You didn't tell me how you made a difference. You didn't tell me what value you brought to that previous company. I may not have to ask all the questions of why you left. I mean, that's your preference of why you left a previous job. But so many jobs in a certain amount of time, it's an automatic denial. So, not being in line to what, the job, my job is asking for, it's going to be a denial. I sometimes, once I screen something, and I can read those gaps. I know you know what I'm talking about when you say you can just catch gaps. They're just blatant.
Yep.
And then I may say, well, there's something here. Every recruiter is not going to take that extra step and say, you know what, let me just call them and get clarification. And then I may call and they say, oh, my God, I left that out. Somebody told me you only supposed to put this many years. You put as much on there that needs to be relevant to the job you're trying to apply for. Everything is not created equal. So these, you have a lot of fly-by-night writers who will tell you, well, just take that off. That's not relevant to the position. That this, that, and other. But if I'm looking for it, it was relative. If it's what's needed for me to set you aside to my next level, it was what was needed. But we're falling short to help people, and I feel like that is why there's a lot of people unemployed. It's not because they're not qualified.
Absolutely.
It's because they don't have preparation.
One of the things I try to teach Frida is, about the structure of a resume and the purpose of a cover letter, and how your resume need to tell a story of your experience. And that's the way I kind of relate it. You have to tell a story about where you were, where you're trying to go, what you're doing now, and where you want to be in the future. But it has to be written in a way that is not like, I don't call it so-called cookie cutter, but it has to be written in a way that anybody can read it and know exactly what you want to be. And they know exactly what skills you have. They understand the value of your experience, and you can use it anywhere, and you're not copying and pasting. It's your own words. And so I want to kind of like bring this into the next part of the topic, which is what you hit on also, is that in the African American community, we cannot continue to have the mindset to think that I will deal with it when I'm unemployed. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, I mean, for a few dollars, you can pay a career coach, me, Afrida, whoever to help you build a proper resume, and then teach you how to keep that up while you are working, because as the old saying, it's easier to get a job when you have a job. It's so much easier to get a job because they know that they are keeping you. You are valued, and believe it or not, I would say, in my own opinion and experience, you will get more money on your next job just by still working and having everything prepared than being unemployed. Because when you're unemployed, they don't really understand all the reasons why you're unemployed, and frankly, a lot of hiring managers don't really care. What they care about is what is valuable to them. And if they can't see you in their environment, or they have a question or a concern about anything, you're not going to make a good impression when you walk in the door. You're just not. So,
I tell
you
a lot of
we have to get out of that mindset that, oh, I'm gonna get my resume done when I'm unemployed. But hello, you could be unemployed up to 99 weeks
oh,
or more, just
yes.
and because you're trying to get your resume. I had people send me information or reached out, to be mentored because they trying to figure out how come they've been sending their resumes out and it's a
Mm.
year later and they only had 2 interviews and 6 phone calls out of 100 submissions. And a lot of times it's that after the or maybe even the 10th submission, if you haven't got one call, you need to be getting with a career coach and say, what is wrong with my resume? Is there something missing? Do I need to add something? Don't be afraid. It's only a few dollars,
That's right.
to get that done. But, we can't be in a mindset to say, oh, I don't want to pay for professional help. That's why we're here. That's why we're here to help you. And so I know, Frida, you got some comments to that too, because
Yes,
we're
yes.
hot right now. We're hot
We're
right
hot. We're
now.
hot.
We're hot
You
right
know,
now.
you said it. You said it so clearly. I've always told people that resume is just like a master key. It is only going to open certain doors. You have to be able to, once that key turns and unlocks the door, you got to be prepared to interview and now articulate what you wrote on that piece of paper. So for me, you have so many people that feel like, well, this resume can work everywhere, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. And now with interviews, it's almost like, okay, you think about an employer. I can train you. I'm going to train you the way I'll need you to be anyway. But I need to know that you're coming in with at least the foundation of what I can work with. So I look at the managers that when I recruit for them, and I recruit in different states, and it's amazing that yes, management they want different things, and each manager is different, and their style is different, and their demeanor and the personality and the way they're going to train their teams is different. But overall, I still need that person who is teachable and coachable. I need someone who is flexible. I need to know that if I put this before you, are you going to take initiative? And a lot of times people don't know how to explain their transferable skills. You can have hard skills, those skills that are customized to that particular industry. You could have that. But if you don't have transferable skills, that means that you can, be able to flow, especially when you talk about being in transition, when you may be transitioning from one actual industry to another. Then those you need to be able to articulate your transferable skills. You have to say, well, I have this particular skill that I know can cover over here in this industry as well, because that is what makes you valuable. If you don't know the value and don't know how to articulate it, it's like you're just stuck. And job titles, they're not the same. So you could be a receptionist over here, and you could be a admin assistant over here, and that's two different jobs, but some of them do carry the same skill sets. So if I don't know how to articulate it, I find myself out of a job longer because I don't know how to be flexible enough and know how to really articulate my skills enough to get the next job because I'm so caught up in a title. So I teach them, don't get out of the title, get out of the box, learn your skills and know how they can float across multiple industries. Like customer service. Oh my gosh, our company now offers this amazing certification, which is accredited customer experience professional. And I had to literally teach the clients that say, customer service is not retail and fast food. That's what we have been told. It's either hospitality or it's this face to face. But customer service is the foundation of any industry. You got to know how to deal with people point blank. You have to know how to talk to them. You have to know how to make that experience specific to them so that they recognize that whatever you were servicing them with, whatever product you were offering to them, it was more than that. It was the way you made them feel, the way they took from you that you cared, you were empathetic, you definitely were available to help them, and now they feel like, you know what, I'm coming back to you. I don't care how much I got to pay for it. I don't care what I got to do for it. I'm coming back to you because of how you treated me.
That's
That's the things we
fantastic.
have to look at,
That's fantastic.
and it's amazing. And I'm just excited because I love the opportunity. I have told many of my friends, I said, I'm gonna be all over the country with this thing. I just feel it. I mean, because we need it, and you see
We
that
need it. We
as
definitely need it.
entrepreneurs, we step out into nonprofit arenas, and that is, and everyone has their lane. But I feel like we are missing the masses. the general public needs what we have, and everybody needs to be tweaked every now and then. We cannot keep going the same way and feel like we're gonna still get the same results. We can't.
Exactly. I think the statistics that I gave out this year when I did my research about it, and last year when I did the workshops, is that regardless of how much education and background you have, everybody still get unemployed the same. They don't realize that it doesn't really matter. But what matters is how prepared you are when it happens. How prepared are you when it happens so that you can easily like get back in the game. And so I kind of want to end the podcast with you telling us about more about your services, your business, and what you offer and everything.
With my business, as I said, as my bio says, with me in career development and training, I have partnered with nonprofits. I'm still partnering with nonprofits because I know that's an arena that has an abundance of clients are limited in the exposure that they get with our services, with our products. But I'm that openness. I just need to touch everybody. We offer resume packages from entry level to executive level, but I also try to teach what I'm giving them. I'm just not going to write it and just give it to you and you feel like, "Oh wow, that was awesome." No, I'm going to tell you why. I have to ask you questions. Tell me, what are you looking for? And then let me pull, and then I end up pulling out of them more than they even thought they had to present, and then I package that to show them that, hey, this is what you could be marketing to, and that opens doors for more opportunity to be hired. We offer workshops. I have a platform I've created called Get Hired, and I initiated the first event here in my city of Jacksonville, where I felt like, okay, I named it after the county, obviously, but the platform is professional development because, again, where have you ever seen it where employers get to literally talk to a candidate in a job fair setting? So you got people that come in and they're literally just walking around like in a daze. But if you bring the platform together where the employers now get to communicate with the job seekers and get to explain who they are, what their mission is, what their vision and what they're looking for, you may have a greater dynamic of finding the right candidate because now I, as a job seeker, am not wondering. I am structured and I know exactly who I need to be talking to. So we're creating that platform for adults and youth. As I said, the company now, we offer this accredited online training as well as classroom facilitation of certification for customer experience, and that has been amazing. I partnered with a nonprofit dealing with ex-offenders and showing them the value that they bring to a company so that they get out of the frustration of feeling like nobody wants to hire me. When you know your value, you either going to create your way, your path, or just showing them the value of what you bring to the table, because at the end of the day, that's what I need to know. I need to know why I need to pay you. So if you bring me value, I'm willing to pay you. And I can look over a lot of things and learning to be confident in what they bring to the table, all the skill sets that they do have. And definitely on my youth side, we have summer youth training and hiring events that we're putting on, and was exposed from a colleague of some virtual platforms to really assist our young people because they're so techy. We got to reach them where they are. So we just have a lot of things going on, and I'm just really excited to be a part of, being a change agent when it comes to helping someone, build self-sufficiency for themselves and their families.
Fantastic. Okay, so last question for you, Alfreda. What do you need to help your business? Because this is a networking thing, and so I want to give everybody a chance to just basically tell everybody, what does Alfreda Booney need for perfectly suited careers?
That's awesome. That's nice. They say always have an ask. I just finished a pitch and it was amazing. I want to connect to like-minded individuals. I know one of the speakers that's coming up. I saw that he is heavily in youth empowerment. I want to connect to those who have the same heart of seeing change within our communities, and it starts with us first. It starts with our families, our friends, whoever, and we branch out, because by word, just like this podcast, was able to be brought to my attention, and I'm so honored to have been a part of it. our word referral is valuable. It's so valuable. And so I want to be able to connect to other organizations, partnering in collaborations, because as I said, my vision is to take it across this country to any city that knows that they need to put their young people to work, to put their older, adults to work, to just make a change. Like I said, the platform is Get Hired. I have a vision, and I know it is not mine because I would have dropped it a long time ago if it was just, for my benefit. But I do believe it is something I'm called to do, and I've been passionate about it for these years, and I'm thankful that I have an opportunity to just share the information and knowledge that I've gained. So I want to be able to connect and partner with other like-minded organizations anywhere, because I'm mobile. It does not matter. And we come together and we set a standard, but we we strike a change within the community and get those people working and get them productive and being self-sufficient and being valuable to their communities and their families.
Awesome. And I like the fact that you said to set a reaction of change. Let's do it because, guys, if listening to the podcast, you got some really, really great information, a different perspective of career development. And I want to encourage everybody to please take the time to visit each and every single page that's on this website, because it's not just us sitting here talking. We're literally giving you information that you can't get anywhere else. You're literally getting this information for free, okay? And not only is it going to help you personally, but it's also going to help you professionally. And we want you to be able to reach out to any of the experts here. Make sure you check out her website. Her contact information is below. And I just love the fact that we're all coming together because this is part of the movement. We want everyone to be part of this movement because we want to make a stronger community for our small businesses, regardless if you're a minority or not. If you're a small business, you're part of the community. So Alfreda, with that, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I am very excited to hear some of the things that you talked about because it's pretty much the things that I love to do, and I love knowing other perspectives, especially from a recruiting standpoint.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be a part. I loved it.
I love you too. But you know what? We're going to end the podcast, and thank you.